The Korean Seoi Nage, or reverse Seoi Nage, works best when I have an opponent who's fighting in an opposite stance to me. I'm right-handed, he's left-handed. I have my right hand on his lapel, and on the left, with my left hand, I'm not really trying to grip. He isn't really trying to grip. That's the best situation for that. I push into him a little bit with my right hand, and then I twist my wrist to make space so that I can grip my own fist with my left hand. And that's the gripping position that I want to have. Now, from here, I can throw him multiple ways. I will start with a forward throw. I place my right foot forward to the tip of a triangle between his feet and mine. Then I can pull in with both hands, pulling him onto my shoulder. And then I just turn in as far as I can go. When I do this, it is important that I keep my hands in front of my shoulder. If they get behind my head, I lose a lot of strength and it becomes quite difficult to throw him, so don't put your hands behind your head. So now my left shoulder, when I turn in, I try to turn in far enough so that my left shoulder blade makes contact with his belly or with his belt. The position is similar to kata, and generally I see this throw as a mix between Morote Seoi Nage and kata. That's, I think, a useful way to think about it. What your hands are doing is close to a Morote Seoi Nage, where you throw him, and your shoulders make a kata movement, like this. And there's the throw. You can see the direction of the throw is, from my perspective, when I'm turned in, forward, slightly off to the side. Now, a few more throws from different perspectives, from different views, so you can see how it's being done. The same throw works very well as a drop throw. I essentially do the same thing. The main difference is that after my first step, I jump into him and down onto my knees. I try to land close to him and turn in as far as I can. And the throwing movement is very similar again to a drop kata, drop Morote Seoi Nage. I think it's closer to a kata for my taste. But yeah, you can see it. I'm putting him onto me and pulling him over. Very, very similar to a drop kata. The third option is to throw him backwards. That works well if he is, for example, standing extremely left-sided, somewhat straight, we're pushing into each other, or if he is somehow blocking me from getting in front of him. Maybe his arm is in the way and I can't push it in. That makes it difficult. What I do is I try to get close, and then I skip my first step. I don't do the step forward with my right foot. Instead, I do a long back step with my left foot and turn around completely. So just small step with the right foot, turn around, and then just pull him straight down. The throwing movement becomes a little bit different. I'm no longer doing a kata style movement. I'm just turning around and then I'm pulling straight down as strong as I can, and then just bow down. And that just pulls him flat down on his back. Just more angles, different ways to step. You can look straight forward or you can look into him. Just play around with it and see what works for you. Now the same thing can be done as a drop throw. It's pretty simple actually. You just do the same thing again and then you drop down to your knees. The same start. You do a long back step with your leg that is further away. And then when you're there, you just drop down to your knee and pull him down. Very simple. Doesn't have to be very elegant, but it works. Now for Kumi kata. Ideally, we both only have the lapel hand. I don't want him to be able to keep his distance. I can either keep him close by simply pulling in with both hands. That works quite often if you're strong enough and when you're working two hands against one hand. If that doesn't work, you can try to strip his grip from your lapel. If he's on the inside, another way is to grip his elbow or his jacket just beneath his elbow and pull that in. Quite often that just breaks his grip. Or if it doesn't, you can pull in his elbow, and if it's bent far enough, he can't push you away anymore. Another option is to catch his hand before he can take a grip. In that case, I grab his lapel with my right hand under his arm, with my left hand above, trapping his arm in between. That is a very, very strong grip for this throw. Tournament examples. I try to put examples from my major IJF tournaments, but that always led to my videos getting flagged, and I haven't found a way around that. So I use some of mine. Here you can see first in normal speed, then slowed down a bit, and then we'll go through the individual stages. So first off, my opponent is a lefty, I'm standing right, and we're both mainly trying to establish a lapel grip, which we have done, right about now. Yeah, here. We both don't really take a grip with our second hand. I'm preparing by leaning forward a bit into him. I'm putting my shoulder on his shoulder, I'm pushing into him. He's pushing back a bit, because he doesn't want to go back out of the mat. To do that, he's leaning forward a bit as well. I'm standing lower than he is. You can see my shoulder's a bit beneath his shoulder. That is intentional. It makes it easier to get under him. Now there's a small movement. I'm turning in my left foot a little bit. That makes it easier to throw and to turn in. Now we're in a very good starting position for the throw. I'm standing right, he's standing left. We both have a lapel grip. We're both standing leaned into each other, and you can't really see that because it's on the other side, but our grips with our free hand there are not really grips. We're just trading a bit. Now I turn my left foot all the way. My right foot steps in. And the following movement is a little bit different from the standard throw, because I have tried to throw him with the Korean Seoi Nage in this fight before. And he always used his left leg to do a very big step back in order to evade my attack. Anticipating that, I changed the direction of the throw and had to adjust everything a little bit to stay under him. Usually I would now put my left foot just in and throw him straight forward. Because of his step, I have to change that, throw him more towards the camera, and yeah, you will see that in a second, how that works out. Now, I'm moving in, he's starting to take his step back, and anticipating that, I didn't take my foot as far back as I usually would. I'm more in a runner start position, you could say. And up here you can see my hands. They are a little bit behind my ear. That's not perfect. I want them to be on ear level, shoulder level, or in front. So during the throw I'm trying to get them there. Second thing you can see is his arm. His grip is broken. He let go of that, and it's trapped between my back and him, which is perfectly fine. Now here you can see the position a little bit better. You can see his arm sticking out there. That is trapped between us. You can see I'm trying to pull straight down with my hands to get my hands back in front of my shoulders. My hands aren't perfect, but they're not behind my head really, so it's still okay. Now I'm going to go down. My right shoulder is going to go towards the ground. My left shoulder, my shoulder blade has contact with his belly, and it's trying to push up as I go down with on both knees. I can see this shoulder, the right shoulder is going to go down, left shoulder is going to go up, and my further leg that's further behind is going to push off the ground to get the throw. And here's the second example. In this case, my opponent is a right-sided fighter as well. And right here I have my right hand on his lapel. He has his left hand somewhere on my arm. His right hand is not on me yet, and I do my best to catch it before he can grip me. You're going to see that in a moment. There's my left hand, and I try to catch his right hand, and now I got it. And I push it down into his belt, essentially. His reaction is that he tries to free his arm by taking a step back, bowing down and pushing his hand far back behind him. And that works, that breaks my grip. But now I have a great situation for the Korean Seo. He's leaning forward, has no grip with his right hand. I have a good grip on his lapel with my right hand. Second hand comes in, grips on top of my right hand. So my left hand grips on top of my right hand there. Right there. And now I instantly turn in as quickly as possible before he can take a grip again with his right hand. Because he's a right-handed fighter and he's trying to stand right foot forward, I have to turn him far more than I usually would against a left-handed fighter. So I have to do a very big turn-in motion to get into a position where I can throw him. And because of that, at the end, the throwing motion goes straight back from his original position. Here you can see my hands are a bit behind my ears. As the throw goes on, I pull them in front of me. And I bring my right shoulder down to the ground, my left shoulder goes up, and I push off the ground with my feet to get over him. And yeah, that just works very, very well. One more time, he breaks the grip, I take my grip, twist in as quickly as possible and just push into him, start running on the ground and throw him.